So I grew up in two very different parts of California. I spent the first part of my life in a very small town in Humboldt County, California, which is in the far north underneath the gigantic redwood trees. Then halfway through high school, I was ready for a change and made the move down to the urban jungle of Los Angeles, which was very different, but at the time, I absolutely loved it. I ended up staying there for 10 years until I was fed up and ready to leave. On one hand, I loved the endless amenities and options that LA offered, and on the other, I loved the natural beauty and the peace and quiet that Humboldt offered. But I needed a change and I didn't want to live in either place anymore. I was looking for a place that could offer me both things. I wanted the city and the nature. I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. Did I find what I was looking for? Let's find out. I visited Portland for the first time sometime in 2015 and immediately had the feeling that this was a place that I wanted to spend some time in. I was immediately blown away by the vibe in Portland and thought it made sense for me personally because it felt like a mix of the two places I lived in before. It does have the city vibes, kind of like LA, but also very much immersed in natural beauty like I was used to in Humboldt. There's many busy sections all across Portland, but then you could be in a quiet residential neighborhood just one block over from your favorite tapas bar. I loved it so much that I decided to move here. And so if you happen to be in a similar situation where you're thinking of moving up to the Portland metro area, I would absolutely love to connect with you and help make that a smooth move for you and help you buy your dream home. You can find all my contact information right down below this video, so feel free to shoot me a call, a text, an email, or better yet, just snag some time on my calendar and book a video call with me personally so that we can have a conversation about your move to Portland and how we may be able to help you get that ideal home. Anyways, just putting that out there. I've learned a lot about Portland since living here, and for the rest of the video, I'm just gonna share that with you. And stay with me till the end because I'm gonna share a few things that I think Portland could improve on. I still visit Los Angeles at least once a year, but every time I fly back home to Portland, I have the same feeling. I'm so glad I don't live in that other place. Every time I fly into LA, I think, wow, it's so big. And every time I fly into Portland, I think, wow, it is so nice. One thing I learned is that I don't really like living in a city where I can barely access most of it. LA is so massive that it feels like you're pretty much confined to the one area that you live in. In Portland, it's not far-fetched to go from one side of the city all the way to the other because the size of the city overall is very manageable. I realized that I value the convenience of being able to move around the city wherever I want rather than living with the stress that I could get in a car and drive for hours and barely even cross half the city. You'll see when you get here that the size of Portland really sets the tone for your day-to-day life here. I've also realized that it's important for me to be close to nature. This is probably from my Northern California roots, but even if I'm not hiking every single day or camping every weekend, just knowing that the city is immersed with trees, with nearly 220,000 street trees and well over 1 million park trees, not to mention the expansive wilderness beyond the city limits, it just reminds me that the air is fresh here, and if I do want to escape the city for a few days, there's endless nature and camping options in all directions. Another thing that I learned is the general pace of life in Portland is much more laid back and slower in comparison to other big cities. There's much less hustle and bustle here, which does remind me of a con I'll talk about in a sec, but people just kind of go with the flow here. It rarely feels like people are in a rush here, and I appreciate the overall sense of just kind of being in the moment here. Portland's also a city of hidden gems. Because it's a relatively smaller city, all the great little things about Portland feel much more accessible. Whether that's the numerous local coffee shops or cafes, an incredible restaurant across town, or a great park in the middle of the city. Virtually all of Portland's great amenities are right there within arm's reach, which just contributes to the overall feeling of living in a more manageable city. There's a few nuanced ways that I've noticed that Portland differs culturally from other big cities like LA, New York, Dallas, San Francisco. There's definitely much more underlying environmental consciousness. That's a tongue twister. Underlying environmental consciousness. Underlying environmental consciousness. Underlying environmental consciousness. Pretty much everybody recycles here, and you even see a lot of Ridwell bins on people's doorsteps, which is a service that recycles things like plastic films and batteries and that kind of thing. There is a significant significantly higher emphasis on sustainability than most other places I've seen. Also, it feels a bit more casual when it comes to the dress code here. You certainly won't get looked down on for getting dressed up, but this just goes back to what I was saying about the city being more laid back and just a little bit less fancy pants. To go back to what I was saying about the hustle and bustle thing, sometimes drivers can be kind of annoying. Here's the biggest example I can say of that. I see cars stopping just to be nice, even if they have the right of way. Now, I'm all for being nice, but just please follow the rules of the road. Come on. Also, while it's certainly becoming a more and more international city, the city's international communities are a little bit harder to find. You'll likely be able to find your tribe here, but just might have to look a little harder. And of course, I think there could be a little bit less rain here, though believe it or not, there may be less rain here than you think. So if you're wondering exactly what to expect weather-wise when you're living here in Portland, go ahead and click on this video right here where I give you a year-round, season-to-season analysis on the weather here in Portland. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you over there.